Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 14th, 2018 meeting of the Rotterdam Town Board. This evening we entered into executive session, or into our agenda, approximately 5:40 p.m. and discussed a potential of a sale proposal that we received regarding property on Bernard Street Extension. We then entered executive session at approximately 6:05 p.m. with a motion by member Christou, seconded by member Miller Herrera. All voted in favor to enter executive session to discuss employee investigation report number 1 and Valley Paving potential breach of contract. And then we exited executive session at approximately 6:51 p.m. with a motion by member Christou, seconded by member Gitarelli. And we exited our agenda session at approximately 6:53 p.m. with a motion by member Christou and a second by member Senora, again all voting in favor to do so. Ms. Marco, would you call the roll, please?
Sure. Mr. Christou?
Present.
Mr. Gitarelli?
Present.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Present.
Mr. Signor?
Present.
Mr. Thomason?
Present.
5 present.
Would you all please stand for the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. So this evening we have the Shawmut High School students who were involved in Syracuse University's Public Affairs 101 class here with their teacher, Ms. Karen Ryder. And so the board is going to come down. We're going to have a presentation by the students, and then we'll get back into our agenda for the meeting tonight. Okay? So for those who want to. Is that better? Everybody? Yeah. Okay.
Before we start, I'd like to thank the town board for giving us the opportunity to present for them. The Shawmut High School students in Syracuse University's Public Affairs 101 will present why the cable franchise agreement must be amended or changed.
Now I'm going to take a moment to say what a cable franchise agreement is. A cable franchise agreement is an agreement between the municipality and the cable company Spectrum. It's in order to use their right-of-ways and equipment in exchange for a fee paid to the local municipality. The agreement brings in approximately $500,000 of annual revenue for the town each year.
So as our class reviewed the current cable franchise agreement, we came to the conclusion that there are some negative effects that the town should address.
Here are some current negative effects between the town of Rotterdam and the Spectrum cable agreement. So exclusive rights are only given to Spectrum, which prevents competitive pricing, which could lead to lower cable bills for consumers. And senior citizens also make up 18.3% of the town of Rotterdam's population, who are major cable subscribers, but since they may be on fixed incomes, they could struggle to pay for these prices. To gain cable access, there's also a density requirement, and one must live in an area with at least 20 houses per square mile.
This problem is becoming increasingly evident. In 2010-2011, the national number of households with TV sets peaked at 116 million. However, by 2013, this number decreased by about 3 million. In regards to national percentage of cable subscriptions, in July 2011, the percentage of homes with multi-channel cable subscriptions reached 91%. However, in November 2017, this fell below 80%, lowest in 15 years. This number is only expected to decline. By 2018, the predicted deadline is a record-breaking 4%. By 2027, projections are 67%. Those show that people in America are not only no longer purchasing TV sets for their homes, but cable subscriptions are also declining as people are moving away from cable.
394 housing units have been constructed in the town of Rotterdam in the year 2015 and 2017. From the cable franchise agreement, the town receives $552,000 annually, and that comes from 5% of Spectrum's gross revenue. And normally, with an influx of housing, you would expect the cable subscription rates to go up.
In the town of Rotterdam, Spectrum's cable service subscriptions are declining annually. In 2012, there was approximately 10,000 number of subscribers through cable, and in 2017 there was approximately 8,700. And if this trend continues, in 2020 there will be less than 8,000 number of subscribers. Following up with the last slide, while housing units are increasing, the number of cable subscribers are actually decreasing.
And according to Pew Research, about 6 in 10 of those aged 18 to 29 say the primary way they watch television now is with streaming services on the internet, compared with 31% who say they mostly watch via a cable or satellite subscription. This trend is shown on the graph displayed, as only 29% of those aged 18 to 24 watch live TV, and this is heavily in contrast to those aged 55 and above, where a staggering 61% of people watch television through live TV broadcasts, while only 4% watch online TV services.
And one of the major factors in this decrease in cable subscription, along with the increase in the use of streaming services, is the constant advancement in technology in our current day and age, and the increase in internet use among consumers, and especially amongst the youth. In just 2009, Americans only spent 0.3 hours a day on the internet. Comparing this to 2015, Americans spent an average of 2.8 hours per day on the internet. And this increase in internet use has also led to 58% of homes in the United States having at least one streaming service in their home. And another major factor in this increase in the use of streaming services is the low cost. Basic cable rates for Spectrum in Rotterdam are over twice the cost of basic streaming services for companies like Netflix and Hulu. And to further show the shift from cable use to streaming services, most of the shows that won Golden Globes at the 2018 awards were only available through streaming services, and people with cable television couldn't even gain access to these award-winning shows.
So one of the causes we found that causes this problem is that the cable franchise agreement gives Spectrum a monopoly in Rotterdam. People are also becoming more internet literate, allowing them to find these cheaper alternatives online. And another more grim cause is that sadly the baby boomers are aging, and year after year their population is going to decrease. They make up the majority of cable subscribers right now, so cable subscription will continue to fall.
So to ameliorate these problems, our policy states that the town of Rotterdam will renegotiate the cable franchise agreement to include a non-exclusive agreement, cut the current term of 10 years in half to 5 years, and impose a rate lock on basic cable services.
Benefits of our proposed policy include the potential for additional cable companies to come into the town of Rotterdam and drive our cable prices down. Cable consumers in markets with wire-based competition saw an average cable bill rate drop of 23% when competition was introduced. The Federal Communications Commission found 15.7% savings for communities with wireline competition. Shortening the length of the term agreement allows the town flexibility to utilize new technological advancements when they become available. It also protects senior citizens on fixed incomes with basic service from increases in their cable bills.
Despite these benefits, there are a few costs associated with our proposed policy. For one, there is the loss of revenue of the cable franchise fee. Second, non-exclusivity. With the non-exclusivity, it doesn't guarantee that another company will want to come into Rotterdam and provide their cable service. Furthermore, with the shortened term, there will be the time and expense of the town attorney to have to renegotiate this cable franchise agreement more often. And lastly, Spectrum will have less incentive to continue to develop Rotterdam, because if more companies come in, this may include installing new infrastructure in the areas that don't currently get the cable service.
This graph shows the total yearly income revenue received by Rotterdam from Spectrum Cable. If you look at the historical trend, you can clearly see that the revenue that we're receiving from Spectrum is decreasing at a significant rate. And if we do nothing to change this, then we project that it's going to keep decreasing at a similar rate. However, if you do decide to implement our policy, then we predict that although it's still going to decrease, it won't decrease at as high of a rate.
Okay, as previously stated, a main benefit of the new policy would be slowing the decline of the franchise revenue for the town of Rotterdam. Further benefits would include increase in competition, lower prices, and incentives for millennials to want to purchase cable. Spectrum will also be likely to agree to this policy because their own profits will increase. And that will make the town have a shorter and more flexible agreement.
Based on our research, we believe that it's in the best interest of the town to consider implementing this policy to lessen the impact of the decreasing franchise fee revenues.
We'd like to thank the town supervisor, Stephen Tomzone, for assigning us this project and the town board for listening to our research and policy proposal. Are there any questions?
Well, first, let's give you a round of applause.
Did any of you guys find any of this information surprising? Because my daughter's in that under 24 age, and she never watches TV. She watches all her shows on her laptop.
That's what most of us found that we did.
So we're going to call you the Roku generation.
I have a question. Unless I missed it, did you share this report with Spectrum?
No. It'll be placed on our website.
Okay,
So-
I just didn't know whether or not, you might have sent this to them, and maybe they might want to open their eyes and say,
Yeah.
my God, these guys did, we better start doing something.
Did any of your research show they're basically pricing themselves out of the market to begin with because they continually raise their basic cable prices in the area anyways, and that is driving a lot of the customers away as well?
And forcing people to make choices.
Correct.
I mean, that's what it is, yeah. What do you think?
Did you guys come across any of that? Did you look into that at all?
Yeah, that's why we're suggesting imposing the rate lock so that they can't do that, so that they won't lose customers like they are now.
The rate block is solely on basic cable.
How did you guys derive your projected, you had what you guys predicted? How'd you calculate that?
We found the average rate of change that's been happening over from 2012 to current, and then we use that same average rate to calculate what's going on now, and then we decrease that if our policies propose.
Who's your teacher that helps you with that?
I'm over here.
What do you do, have Spectrum and,
Spectrum, but I also have Netflix and I also have Hulu because I have teenagers
Yeah.
who don't even have television.
Who has Apple TV? Anybody have Apple TV?
Oh, we have that too.
There you go.
Do you have any questions of us? Do you have anything else that's come to mind while you've done the presentation here this evening? No?
Other than Spectrum is overpriced?
Oh, I saw that. What, if you guys did, no, I just didn't put it in. What is the average cost spent by a consumer in Rotterdam for cable? We'll say, I know it's a tougher question, because some people just get basic, some get the higher premium channel. Did you guys come across like an idea of like how much per household was being spent for basic cable or premiums or anything?
I know basic cable rates start at about $30, but we aren't sure about all the add-ons.
Right.
That'd be an interesting number, is what the average household expenditure. I'm gonna bet it's about $120.
It's, yeah, well, it depends on if you have the phone or not. If you have phone, it's north of that.
Yes.
Way north of that.
If you go on Spectrum website, there's actually, you can plug in your address and it'll show you the basic cable rate, and then it provides you with each add-on, so it tells
Right.
you each cost for each.
But were you looking at just the cable, or were you looking at cable and the internet and phone or any of those packages?
We were looking at just cable service.
Just cable, okay, yep.
But we did come across like.
Yeah, when they bundle everything.
Yeah.
Sure.
Have you identified any competitors for the area?
Currently there aren't any other providers in Rotterdam. Yeah, willing to come in, so like Verizon, Fios.
Yeah,
They don't want to make a decision.
We hope that if we open it up for them to come in, though, that it might entice some other companies.
What other companies
Fios does not, we've been begging Fios to come into Rotterdam. Fios is actually becoming a dated technology already, so.
You know, the technology changes so rapidly that, you know, at some point, I think the satellite technology is going to be there where the cables may become, the cable itself as a physical infrastructure may become extinct. So,
What's the name of the class that you did this thing?
Public Affairs 101.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was so engrossed by what you're saying. And you guys are all getting A's, right?
No.
A-.
You gotta show the same confidence you showed when you were up there speaking.
Let me know. Let me know who doesn't get an A on this.
Nice job, guys.
Thank you very much. We can begin. Okay, that's okay. Okay, thank you all for that, for indulging us, and I hope you all picked up something from that work with the class today. They had asked me last year to give them a topic, and this is a topic that is on everybody's minds, and every month, if not every day. So we thank the school for their work, and the students in particular for their work. And there are complexities with negotiating these contracts, and most of the complexities, believe it or not, are hardwired in the state law and what is allowed and what is not allowed. So we'll talk more about that at some point in some future meetings, because we will be going back to the negotiating table with these groups. And I appreciate very much all the effort that the students put in. It's a phenomenal exercise, and I kudos to Ms. Ryder for her diligent efforts also with the students. Having been invited to the class and seeing the interactions between herself and her students, I can tell you that they are well taught by you. I want you to just, on behalf of the town, thank you very much for what you do. So at this point in time, we will enter the public comment privilege of the floor. Ms. Marco, who do we have for?
Andrea Capola. Hi, good evening. Andrea Capola, 625 River Road. I'm here tonight because I have a concern about the Rotterdam.
Hold the microphone closer to you if you can. I guess yeah, you're on.
Now you're okay.
Yeah, just get with it. Thank you, Andrew.
All right, I'm here tonight because I have a real concern about the Rotterdam ballparks, and there's going to be some work done down there. I say down there because it's close to the river.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a concern about the time frame of the work, because the challengers, a team that's made up of individuals that have challenges like their name, and that's really important for them and for their families, for their socialization and the joy they get out of living and going to participate as a team. So my question is, are you going to, is the work going to be started in the spring or after the challengers complete their time on the fields?
So there was, I don't want to speak for them. I was not able to attend the meeting, unfortunately. But we want to get the work done prior to them beginning. The one thing that may not be complete before they begin is the back side of the fencing not being up, but the sides and the quote-unquote dugouts will hopefully be completed before that. We should have a RFP on the next agenda. I know that it's being worked on by the engineer for us to call for bids basically to get that work done. We did receive $100,000, over $100,000 from the county for work to just that park. And we are also putting in some funds there. So that is our goal. We also have a building that needs to be constructed down there. We're working on finishing the plans for that, for them to house equipment. And then the overhang for the concession stand, the roof should be complete by our staff sometime in the spring. I don't know exactly when that will happen, but they have the specs for that also.
Mr. Supervisor, is it safe to say that we're gonna be diligent about trying not to interrupt their season?
Well, yeah,
It's in May, that's the
yeah,
problem.
it's in no way would we want to do that. More importantly, the commitment is there, and the funds are in place. So it's not a situation where that's limiting us. So again, the RFP will be out, and hopefully they'll be able to get the fencing ordered, and we'll get some good responses, for that work.
Supervisor,
Yeah.
if I could, ma'am, and I actually was present at the meeting, so I'll do my best to.
Yeah.
Is it Ms. Capola?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Capola, as I understood it, and I attended the meeting on this, one way or another, as I understand it, the idea is not to disturb the ability for the challengers and everyone else to participate this year. One of the things where it's either going to be decided whether we start soon in terms of some of the repairs that are needed versus later is we talked about the fact that it's going to have to be hydroseeded, and if we do it during the season, it's probably going to be tearing up the grass. So we might be doing some post repairs so that we aren't disturbing the hydroseeding that's going and letting it plant. But the idea is nothing's going to disturb the ability for them to be able to play. So
That's what they're questioning, because they will be ordering their uniforms, and they also pre-order a lot of the stuff for the concession stand. And if they can't have their season, that's money down the drain.
Right, and that was.
Weren't they at the meeting? Wasn't the?
Yeah, they were at the meeting.
I know, I was there, but I'm here to re-establish.
Oh, right, and I think we talked about if we needed to establish like certain baselines or anything, like we were gonna have snow fences to keep from the fencing, right?
I'm just very curious, and I'm very cautious, and I like to get everything not engraved in stone, but maybe engraved in cement. Thank you. I really think that
We hear you loud
the
and
more you
clear.
ask.
Sure. No,
Like a friendly reminder.
I think she doesn't trust the speed of government.
No.
I trust the speed of government. I just don't trust some people that have to do their job sometimes.
I agree.
Thank you. And I don't trust the weather.
Well,
I don't trust the weather.
And ma'am, I remember the season itself, that you're not talking a large number, you're talking from like April or May to June or something.
Mid-April to May.
Right, so that wasn't gonna be an impediment for us to be able to, go on with the repairs and everything, and so for that short period of time, we were gonna do what we had to continue your ability to.
This means a lot to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And
Sure.
they need it more than a lot of us do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We agree. Thank you, Andrew, for your comments.
Dave Arangelo?
That's all right.
Hello.
Thank you. Yeah, well, yeah, we can do it, yeah. Give it to Ms. Marco, if you don't mind, we'll pass it down from there so everybody sees it. Thanks.
Hi, David Orlozio, 10 Isabella Street, Rotterdam Junction. The last couple of years I've been dealing with a problem with a neighbor not maintaining his property, cutting his grass and keeping his stuff up apart. And through discovery, after complaining a bunch of times, I found out that part of his land is on agriculture. So the excuse was they can't make him do it because it's agriculture. So I talked to Steve last November before the election. We had a discussion down in Rotterdam Junction, and you said there's a possibility of changing that. There's like 10 lots on my one street that are agriculture, and the problems we're facing is they could raise chickens, they could let their lot go to hell, whatever they want. If you look into the code, they can do anything they want in agriculture. Part of my land is on that. So
You're number 10, sir?
Yes. Number 12 is the one that's not maintained. He's right next door to me. The rest of the lots they're all maintained perfectly, even though they are in agriculture. But They could have chickens if they wanted to. I know the town's trying to stop everybody from not having chickens, but the code says we can have chickens. I can start a chicken farm.
Yeah, you know what it is, Dave, and don't misinterpret me, I'll just give you my own personal, if you will, what's the right term to use? I guess, viewpoint's one of them, but basically my interpretation is wrong, stop trying to give me the right
Your
word.
thoughts.
Well, what it is, so my own experience being in different areas of the town, and so when I say that there are parcels around town, there are some large, when I say large, there are some developments out there, the property is still zoned agricultural, although there are one-family homes everywhere, no different than your area.
Okay.
Okay, and so as we, and Evan and I and Samantha have talked about this before, and honestly, I don't think had the discussions yet with Mr. Gidarelli or Mr. Signori, but the idea of looking at the town in a wholesale way to limit the interruptions that residents would have to quietly enjoy their property, because we have these types of split zoning issues all over the place, and they have to be addressed. And we hopefully will have something ready to go over the next few months, and maybe by the time we get out to the meeting in the Junction in May, we will have some, not necessarily a complete resolution, but we'll have some options, and we'll discuss that. Because we have to involve, we have to notify, we have to have public hearings, we have to tell people what it is that the town board, and also we need to hear from you and the residents there of what it is that you want to see. So, going off of what happened several years ago with the brownfield opportunity, and you were probably at some of those meetings, maybe not. They had meetings over in the Junction. I think mostly at the firehouse, and really, and there's a report here that talks about what people would like to see, the visioning basically for the Junction. Okay, and so we're going to be getting that back out again. So as part of the process for moving forward with some rezoning. That's the only way to change that.
So you're saying there is a possibility of getting this teeny little square.
Anything is possible.
But you don't seem too sure about it.
Well, I'm not saying too sure. We have to have public hearings.
Okay.
And/or comment periods for people. It depends on, I'm going to say the feelings that we get from people that are there. So we'll make some kind of proposal, some kind of you have my commitment that we'll have some kind of presentation for you at the latest by the meeting in the Junction in May. I think it's May 9th, I think is the first one.
Do you have a feeling that you would like to have that change?
I do, because if there's one family homes in an area, I don't know that we, from a health perspective and other perspectives, that should be like that.
You also did mention to me that same day is partial zoning on one lot is not allowed. But it's allowed.
Well, no. What we talked about was
a mixed zoning on one lot.
No, the idea is around the overlay zoning.
Okay.
So one of the things that we did in the Junction was we provided a mixed-use overlay in that area. So what I mean by that is that you may have multiple residential and even some business properties that are zoned for those uses. Take this ag piece, for example.
Okay.
We're going on here, which we really shouldn't necessarily do right now, but I want to give you some idea there and answer that. So the mixed-use overlay, what that does is it says, well, within this area of the town, we did the same for Hamburg Street and the same for Five Corners. There may be a one-family residential house that may be partially zoned business and partially zoned residential.
Okay.
So what happens is this mixed-use overlay is a zoning that's basically placed over the top of all the zoning there. So if someone came in and said they wanted to purchase 2 one-family homes, a small business, if there was a bunch of properties, like take Hamburg Street or take Main Street in the Junction, you have a lot of that. Somebody can come in there and do a development without having to necessarily be concerned with the zoning at that time and make an application to the board for certain uses that are allowed over in that mixed-use overlay. So we will take the proper steps, the legal steps that we need to take to have some work done so that we can talk, I guess I want to say very assertively about the zoning that's out there, get people to come to the meeting in May, and we'll have some kind of presentation so people can talk about their concerns. I can tell you that I know that our town attorney has, and without mentioning names or anything, is that we have, had people at the town court that we have been working through to, get them to comply with our zoning code.
Okay, so I can actually go by the agricultural zone on the third of my property that's agricultural, correct?
If you, I'm gonna say it like this, if you so desire to do so, I don't know what the limits are to that.
Okay.
Outside of,
Well,
Mr. Girl
You
might.
would still have to be fully compliant with the zoning code
Yeah,
as a
correct.
whole.
Absolutely.
So you
Correct.
can't have accessory structures on a
Right,
lot, a
absolutely.
primary
Yep.
structure, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that the idea that you could do whatever you want on it is
Well,
sort of a misnomer.
as far as the zoning for agriculture, which is very vague.
Point of clarification.
Okay.
Right, but the rest of the code.
You had mentioned that lot 12 here, he's improperly maintaining it, okay? Are we looking at two separate things, one a zoning issue and one perhaps a code
Well,
enforcement
the
issue?
only way I can stop him, the only way I can get him to maintain his land is get rid of agriculture, correct? I mean, the town itself says there's nothing we can do because he's ag. So here he has half of his land that is 10 inches high in his grass, the back half is 10 foot.
And the other thing is just to, what your map shows here too, is consider that along the Canal Street and, near the canal, it's light industrial. You're not gonna see light industrial in zone one. This is also zone one, the aquifer area. So that's why, more importantly than when I say it like this, more importantly than what we visualize here as the current zoning classifications is the protection of the water. And
That's
the water
even
wells.
more interesting is that spot is right over the aquifer.
Yeah,
A small part of the
yeah,
aquifer.
these all are.
So this is, so clearly to be addressed. And there's other spots in this town that, so we're trying to take it to reinforce the supervisor's point. We're looking at a global repair of this, so we have some consistencies, more consistency. So we hear you loud and clear. Okay.
Yeah.
I understand, thank you.
Thanks, Dave, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Dave.
I'll pass that down. So you can see this.
That's it.
Okay, that's it, okay. All right, let's move into the resolutions then. Resolution 7718.
Appoint Melissa Lasher, Rotterdam, New York, to the position of payroll audit clerk for the Town of Rotterdam Controller's Office, full-time, provisional, with full employee benefits, at an annual salary of $43,701.45, commencing February 20th, 2018.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Okay, motion by member Christo, is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Mr. Signori. Anyone on the question?
Mr. Supervisor,
Yes.
so as I mentioned before, so this rate of pay is dictated by the contract, CCA contract for this position?
Yes. Anyone else on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, would you call the roll?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Guidarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasson?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 7718 passes. Resolution 70, sure? Oh, thank you, jeez, I'm sorry. Melissa, I'm sorry. I did see you, and I'm just, would you stand up for us, please, so we can acknowledge you? Thank you for welcome. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I'm sorry, Melissa. Thank you. Resolution 7818.
Appoint Ernest Justin Peak of Rotterdam, New York, to the position of motor equipment operator, heavy DPW, for the Town of Rotterdam Department of Public Works, with full-time probationary with full employee benefits at an hourly rate of $25.4682, commencing February 26, 2018.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by member Christou, second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, second by member Guidarelli. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Guidarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasson?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 7818 passes. Mr. Peak, I know you're in the audience. Would you stand up? Thank you for joining us. Okay. Resolution 7918.
Adopt local law number 2 of the year 2018 for the following purpose: to amend chapter 266, section 49 of the Code of the Town of Rotterdam, entitled Schedule 9, School Speed Zones. Establish a school zone speed limit of 20 miles per hour on Helderberg Avenue in the area of the entrance to the Mahadison Junior and High School. Public hearing was called for at the Town Board meeting of October 11, 2017. Public hearing was held at the Town Board meeting of October 25, 2017.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by member Signor. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by member Guidarelli. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, would you call the roll?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Guidarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 7918 passes. Resolution 8018.
Adopt local law number 3 of the year 2018 for the following purpose: to amend chapter 266, section 52 of the Code of the Town of Rotterdam entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule 12, no parking at any time as follows. Designate both sides of Opus Boulevard for its entire length as a no parking zone. Public hearing was called for at the town board meeting of September 13th, 2017. Public hearing was held at the town board meeting of September 27th, 2017.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by member Christou. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by member Signor. Is there anyone in the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Guidarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 8018 passes. Resolution 8118.
The town board of the town of Rotterdam hereby accepts the donation from the Rotterdam Eagles Club and authorizes a budget modification in an amount not to exceed $1,000, and hereby modifies the general fund budget by increasing estimated revenues A510 in the revenue account entitled Donations A2705.270503 by $1,000, and increasing appropriations A960 in the subsidiary account entitled Patrol Vehicles A3120.2010 by $1,000.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by member Guidarelli. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by member Signor. Anyone in the question? Just on the question, I'd like to thank the Eagles for their donation and for all that they do in the as a community organization in the town. So, anyone else on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Guidarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 8118 passes. Resolution 8218.
The town board of the town of Rotterdam hereby declares itself lead agency in accordance with 6 NYCRR Part 617 for the proposed village at Whispering Pines, issues the attached positive declaration based upon the SECRA Environmental Assessment Form EAF, declares with written public comments will be accepted on the attached draft scoping document until March 14 of 2018. Directs the senior planner to send the attached draft scoping document to all interested and involved agencies for written comment on the document, and to undertake the filing and other requirements of SECRA associated with the scoping process. Refers the local law and the change of zone application to the Town of Rotterdam Planning Board for the board's recommendations, and refers the local law and the application to the Schenectady County Planning Department.
Okay, may I have a motion, please? Motion by member Signor. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by member Miller Pereira. Anyone in the question?
Mr. Supervisor, just a point of clarification. It is my understanding that what this resolution does is it creates an additional layer of transparency. It allows the public to submit not only verbal concerns and interests here in this environment, but also provides them a venue to submit detailed concerns or comments of any kind in writing as well. The positive declaration compels the developer to go through the full scrutiny of seeker and every other development level. Again, it's my understanding that this creates another level of transparency and another venue for the public to be heard on this topic. Is that correct?
That's correct. And the public comments, written comments can be submitted to our senior planner, Peter Comenzo, here at the Town of Rotterdam.
Actually, a separate website.
Yep, a separate web
Public
address.
comment at rotterdamnewyork.org.
Right. But if you are not on the web, you can just submit your questions to the town itself at 1100 Sunrise Boulevard, of course, 12306, or as Evan has said, public comment at rotterdamny.org if you're on the web. And also, all of the draft environmental impact statement pieces, if you will, are on the town website already. They've been there for about a month, and so more like 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And as importantly, The comments that we will receive will be reviewed by members of the town board, the questions and comments, members of the town board, the town designated engineer, Clough Harbor, the engineers that are involved, and the applicants, professionals that are working on their behalf. So every question will be responded to. More importantly, when we say every question, substantive questions that have to do specifically with the project will be responded to. And so in other words, if you're asking a particular question about why the town board would seek to do this, will maybe be some kind of an answer saying that, well, the applicant came in and this is the process that we go through. But really what we're hoping for is substantive questions and concerns from residents and others in our community who are concerned about the project and, more importantly, the impacts to this project. But again, much of the information has been provided on our website, so please avail yourself. And if you do not have access to the web, or if you do not have the ability to download documents through someone else, feel free to come here to Town Hall. We will provide copies of some documents. We cannot obviously take our town staff and ask them to, print off 1,000 pages of documents. But if you're looking for particular items of interest to you that have to do specifically with traffic or specifically with an area that has been responded to already in the draft environmental impact statement, and again, the information that the town's already received, so you can formulate questions or concerns, we're happy to help you with access to that information.
So is it accurate to say, Mr. Supervisor, that these questions or concerns can be directed to the developer? They can be directed to our town designated?
They really should be directed to the town.
But they could be looking for an answer from the developer, from our town designated engineer, from this board, from the planning commission?
Right, but if they, the best way to really do it is because
Right.
so
They're gonna come into there.
Right, so that we make sure that there's a place for all of them, rather than if, God forbid, you get something,
No.
you know what I mean, so
What I'm
that's why.
saying, through the common website.
Yes.
But it might be like, okay, could our town designated engineer, right, it's an email address that comes in, but the questions could be specific to our TDE, the developer's engineer, to the planning commission, depending on what their concern is. Perhaps they might want to say to the TDE, listen, did you look at this? Or did you look at that?
Really, my understanding, and I'll say it like this, is that rather than direct the question to a particular individual or group, is direct the question regarding the matter or the issue to the town. So whether it's to, again, getting all of these questions and concerns to Pete Comenzo, and/or through the email at public comment at rotterdamny.org. So this way, what happens is that, because frankly, the engineer may not be the one that needs to answer that question, it may be the planner, et cetera. So I would rather not have that. We're better off to have our senior planner, Pete Comenzo, determine,
from there.
along with us, if, and also whether the question's been properly answered, frankly. Okay? That's, I hope that answers your question. Okay, all right. So, so we have a motion by Member Signori and a second by Member Miller Herrera. Anyone else on the question? Okay, Ms. Mark, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Guidarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, Resolution 8218 passes. Resolution 8318.
Accept town clerk's report for the month of January 2018.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Member Christou, is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Member Miller Herrera. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Mark, would you call the roll?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Guidarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, Resolution 8318 passes. Resolution 8418.
Authorize budget transfers by the town controller to various accounts for 2017.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Okay, motion by Member Christou, second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, second by Member Guidarelli. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Mark, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Guidarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution 8418 passes. Resolution 8518.
Authorize budget transfers by the town controller to various accounts for 2018.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Member Christou, is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Member Signor. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, please call roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Gitterelli?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasino?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 8518 passes. Okay, anyone have committee reports or anything under miscellaneous tonight?
Mr. Supervisor, Mr. Gitterelli and I, who are on the Highway Committee, have been communicating with the Highway Superintendent on some long-term ideas, and I'll just leave it at that for now. But
Okay.
there is constant dialogue going on how to improve the conditions in the operation in that area.
Thank you, thank you. And along those lines, I just want to make a quick comment about the work that's being done around town. We have the Curry Road Pump Station, which is still being improved. In the next couple of months, the Lot Drive sewer pump stations will have their work begun. And then you'll see more action, or if you will, or activity at the town parks as well, beginning in the spring. And building improvements as well. We have a lot of building needs, and I forgot to mention. So as I'm saying this now, tomorrow at 10:30, we're going to meet with, if you have time, Joe, with those guys here in town hall again, talking about the work that we're doing in the buildings. And I want to thank everyone for their attention this evening. Anyone else have anything tonight?
I just want to, well, what Mr. Christou said in regard to, conversations with Highway, not really more about as far as to do with operations, I think more as, more conversations to do with the facility and just kind of the equipment and just the situation that's over there.
Yeah. And you know, our buildings are old, and there's a lot of improvement. It's one of these situations where do you improve what you have, or do you go out and look for other opportunities and other options? And that's what we're talking about when it comes to the highway department, frankly. In other areas, we are strictly looking to make improvements to the buildings as they are, and make it not only more accessible for all of our residents, but just as importantly, safer for everyone. So with that, I have nothing else to say.
Supervisor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Christou for adjournment. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Member Gitterelli. Anyone, so we're going to do the all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Anyone? No. Okay, thank you very much for coming this evening to our meeting. Thank you.